started studying the implementation of ERPs, Enterprise Resource Planning Systems, and CRMs, and similar kinds of big enterprise systems in the 1990s. And at the time, companies thought they were going to get rid of their old creaky systems and bring in new modern systems. And what they learned is that actually their entire organization had developed its capabilities around the old creaky systems. So when they brought in new systems, people didn't really know what to do. They actually were fighting the systems instead of saying, oh, this makes my work easier. In many cases, it simply didn't make their work easier, it created more. So we found this very hard to get rid of our old creaky, very limited technologies to put in these new enterprise systems because they force us to change our behaviors. Sometimes they just add another layer of work so that somebody can track what we did, or the system can automate or save data that nobody had before. And they're really, really hard work. If they're implemented well, what a company gets is transparency in its processes, outstanding master data. They get the ability to grow on underlying core capabilities. They get efficiency. They know things work, so they get reliability. They get scalability. These enterprise capabilities add real value, but they are not fun, and they force a lot of change, especially around becoming more disciplined. Because of that, even though I've been studying these things for 20 years, most companies find that they're really hard to put in, and our surveys suggest that only about 28% of established companies have gotten the transparency, the access to master data that they really need to move into a digital economy. So I think what's going to happen is companies will kind of narrow their objectives to a few processes that really matter, or some master data they must have. Just scale down the implementation effort and say we've got to get the essence of a strong backbone so that we can become digital going forward. And I think it will be essential activity for companies that are outside that 28% that have strong backbones. If you had your druthers, you would rather not have shareholders when you decide you need to put in an operational backbone, because there's a certain commitment to change that is required. It's a long-term commitment. It won't always affect your quarterly results. That said, the fact that there are quarterly pressures on publicly held companies means that many of them have been able to focus their big implementations on kind of subsets. Let's get one thing in and get value from it so that we can report on it. And there is real advantage to that. What a company that doesn't have to meet quarterly results might do is think it's doing great things that will be delivered in 2 years, only to find out they weren't so great. So there's a real trade-off here, but I do as a rule find that companies that don't have the quarterly profit pressure are doing a better job of getting core infrastructure into their systems and their processes, because they don't have to worry about that immediate outcome.